Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to the donation and fundraising session. So on this session with me is Whitney, who's a senior account manager for RunSignup, and Chris, who is GiveSignup sales rep. And Elizabeth is also the host of this session. So as we're getting through this presentation and talking about donations and fundraising on the RunSignup registration platform, you can ask any questions you want to in the chat. I think Whitney will kind of take the lead on answering those questions. And then if there's time left over, we can go through anything in more detail. And if there's anything relevant to stop me at any point, Whitney, you can just go ahead and unmute and cut in wherever. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see that? Cool. And it's 1 o'clock, so I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the donation and fundraising platform on RunSignup and the tools that we have to raise more, save time, and make it easy for your nonprofit. So the agenda, we're going to talk about donation and fundraising setup and customization. And this can apply to both in-person events and virtual events and challenges. All of those types of things are going to be using the RunSignup registration platform. And the examples I'm going to use today are kind of a mix of real events and virtual challenges. We're going to go more into donations and fundraising and how they apply to virtual challenges and virtual events during tomorrow's session. We're going to talk about charity partners. We're going to talk about some cool tools that we have in RunSignup to help you grow donations, as well as to incentivize and engage your fundraisers. We'll touch on Facebook fundraising, can answer any questions you have about that. And then I'll just focus on some of the reporting tools to make it easy to look at your data and get it out of the system. So just before we start, we had a couple of nice updates to donations and fundraising over the past year. Just want to highlight that. So we have a new donation and fundraising user experience. So when you go and set up your donations and fundraising for your race or virtual challenge, it's really easy and organized. All of the different tools and features are organized into easy to use tiles, and you just click into them, and then you can enable and customize the settings as you would like. And this is really the part of RunSignup where we say easy, like we just want to make it as easy as possible for your nonprofit, whether you are tech savvy or not, to go in and configure the settings to raise more. So the differences of what we've done on the dashboard is we've just broken up the donations and the fundraising tabs into 2 separate tabs to make it easy and more intuitive. The functionality is all the same. We didn't take anything away, just cleaned it up with those changes. Our new fundraising pages are really nice. We're really proud of the updates that we've made over the last year. They've kind of come out slowly, and now that they're all there, it's just beautiful fundraising pages. So the first is this fundraiser slideshow at the top. We make it really easy for your fundraisers to upload a profile. We have this croppy tool so they can make sure it's actually centered on their face and it looks nice. Lots of different descriptions, prominent social share options, and donate calls to action. The Facebook fundraiser integration, we've had this for a while, and of course the big update is that it's now an automatic setup and approval as long as you're approved for Facebook payments. Fundraising minimums, we've mentioned this in a couple of presentations, and I can actually show you how you would set this up in the dashboard, but this is really great for charity bib fundraising. You're able to save credit cards for registrants. They will agree to a certain fundraising minimum, and then you'll be able to charge those credit cards on a certain date. And the nice thing about our platform is if the card is now no longer valid, and that sometimes happens because it's expired or I don't know, just something happens, it's not entered correctly. Those fundraisers are actually going to receive an invoice, so that helps to make that process a bit more smooth on your end. Free domains and subdomains are really nice for nonprofit events. You can have the branding. You don't have to have the RunSignup or the GiveSignup URL. You can have your own subdomain or domain for your events. And cover pages. I love this cover page. It's from the Charleston Animal Society. And one of the cool cover page components that we have is a list of top fundraisers and top fundraising teams. And you're able to like customize it with your own heading and choose like the display color and everything. And it just looks really nice on the websites and shows the power of having a website that's tied to your events database. Okay, so setup and customization. I'm going to go through 3 different types of setups with 3 different test events on our platform. So the first one is where all of your participants are required to fundraise. The second one is some, but not everyone is required to fundraise. And then the third is just making fundraising optional. So it's not required for anyone, but people have the option to become a fundraiser. Okay. So my first test race, Save the Whales Run, I have a 5K and 1 mile, and everyone who signs up has to become a fundraiser. So when I go to sign up, I have to select an event. I have to enter a password, and that worked. I'm going to go through this registration flow. You'll see here on the fundraising page, my fundraising page is automatically being created for me. I have that setting enabled just to make it really simple and easy for people to register and not spend too much time in the registration path. But I am emphasizing this team step. So I'm going to join Elizabeth's team. And then I have the option to make a donation when I sign up. And then this is my checkout page. You'll see I can enter a coupon, and I have the option to cover the processing fee. So this is a nice tool to get your users to cover the processing fee, which is the only cost to using RunSignup. So I'm going to go ahead and complete my registration. And I have the option, now that I'm signed up, to create a synced or connected Facebook fundraiser. This has the Facebook fundraising integration enabled. So I can just click here automatically and create a synced Facebook fundraiser. I'm not going to, because I got questions yesterday from my friends asking why I was like creating birthday fundraisers all day. So I'm not going to do that to my Facebook page again. But this is what your participants will see when they register for an event where they become a fundraiser and you have the Facebook fundraising integration connected. All right, so what does that look like on the back end? So when I have an event where I want everyone to become a fundraiser, I just set up the events that I want to offer. For these, this is an in-person event. If I'm changing to a virtual, I would select virtual race/challenge. And then once I go through the race wizard, I'm going to come into the fundraising tab, and I'm going to go to individual fundraisers. There's a friendly message here that's going to ask me to enable fundraising. And then I'm going to go into general settings. And the first thing I have to put in is a default individual fundraising message. So that's the message that will automatically appear on my fundraising page. Here I have required everyone for both of the events to become a fundraiser. And this is the setting that automatically creates the fundraiser but hides the setup form during registration. So for this event, because I just have a default individual fundraising goal, it's not like I'm requiring people to raise a certain amount of money. I felt comfortable hiding it. If you do have a required fundraising minimum, or you want people to be able to customize their fundraising page when they register, you can uncheck this, and that will show the whole setup form in the registration path. So that is how you would set up fundraising that's required for each event. This is another event, Cycle the Forest. And for this event, I have a 25-mile ride, a 50-mile ride, and 100-mile ride options. And then I have a ride and fundraise option. So this is good if you have only some of your participants that are focused on the nonprofit's mission and want to fundraise. And I've branded this as Cyclists for the Forest. And instead of having like 6 different event tiles to choose from, I've used event grouping to organize this. And so I can select which distance I want to compete in as a fundraiser. And you'll see here, this time I'm asked to create my fundraising page and it's displayed to me. And I also have a required fundraising minimum. And so this is where we have the save credit cards, the auto charge for fundraising minimums. When you have this enabled, your fundraisers are going to be required to agree to meet the fundraising minimum and agree to pay the difference. So we have to have them opt into this, and it's going to be a required field as well. So, they will be forced to check that in order to register for an event that has required fundraising and a required minimum. And you'll see here my fundraising page is already populated with that default individual fundraising message, but I can come in and edit. And then I can make a donation. And if I make a donation when I become a fundraiser, that donation is going to be like a self-donation. So it's automatically going to get applied to my fundraising page and count towards my goal. And then I'm actually not going to sign up for this because I don't have a coupon code on this. But this would be the checkout page, and then I could sign up and I would become a fundraiser. So let me show you on the back end how I set this up. So in the race wizard, under my events, I actually do have the 6 different events set up. So you'll see I have my 25, 50, 100 mile ride, and then I have my cyclist for the forest events. And I have that set up with a 25 mile ride, a 50 mile ride, and 100 mile ride. And then after I finish, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into event grouping, and that's how I organize my event options. So I put everything really organized into this cyclist for the forest event. And this is relevant for like any type of event, fundraising or not fundraising, where you have a ton of different event options and there's a good way for you to organize them. This is just like a heading, like it's not doing anything to your data. Your participants for this event are going to be categorized in that event, not into this event group name. This is really just a display setting, but it makes things look really nice. And then the other thing I did on this is for my event display options, for my cyclist for the forest option, I had this event highlight to focus on this fundraising option called Ride and Fundraise, and that showed up in the registration path. So that little highlight shows up right here as like a little banner image. And then if you have your event tiles displayed on the race website, that banner will also show there. And then for fundraising for this one, it's a little bit of a different setup. So I still have my individual fundraising message, but down here, I'm not requiring fundraising for these events, but for these 3 events, I'm requiring that all participants must become a fundraiser. They have to agree to this fundraising minimum. And when they sign up, they have to agree to have their credit card saved. So if they don't meet that minimum by a certain date, I'm going to be able to auto charge them. And you'll see here, I've actually completely disabled fundraising for these events. So if I didn't disable it, it would give these events the option to become a fundraiser, but I just want to keep it really simple. I want them to skip over that step. I just want them to have the option to donate. So I'm just keeping the fundraising option focused on the cyclist for the forest event. So I have the save credit card information enabled for this event. So I'll just show you how I would go in and auto charge my fundraisers if they didn't meet the minimum by a certain date. So I would come into reports, and up here I have a fundraiser minimums report. So I would click that fundraiser minimums report. I don't have any data in this event, but what I could do is I could hide my fundraisers that have met the requirement. And then just depending on how I want to handle this, I can, use this to hide specific people I don't want to auto charge. So people that have participated a lot, I can also hide fundraisers whose teams have met a certain requirement. And then I can select an action. So I can select to auto charge those registrants that have agreed to meet that fundraising minimum. One of the nice things that you can do ahead of charging those registrants, just because they are fundraisers, you want to keep a good relationship with them, is you can do these other actions ahead of the charge. So you can actually like send people email reminders, and then this will show them exactly like how much they still have to go compared to their goal. And you can also just like remove people from the event if you don't want them to participate because they didn't meet their minimum. Again, this probably isn't really relevant to any virtual events, but it's good for when races start happening like normal again in the future, and it's good for your charity bid registrations. Okay, and then the third option is just making fundraising optional. So this is a virtual challenge to run across the country, so everyone competes together to make it across the country. So in this one, I'm going to sign up. And you'll see here, it's just optional to become a fundraiser. So there's this big call to action button to become a fundraiser, and I can do that. But if I decide I don't want to fundraise, I can cancel. And then the donation step is still going to be emphasized in this registration. And that's another option that you have for handling fundraising. You can just make it optional and not required. Okay, so these slides are just notes. We're going to be sharing all the slides and recordings of these presentations after, but this helps serve as a reference. So depending on the type of fundraising event that you want to do, this is just how you'd set it up. I had the detailed notes for this second setup, which is some but not all participants are fundraisers, because it's a bit more complicated. But this is just highlighting those steps I showed you in the dashboard, showing you exactly where you can go to do that event grouping, where you can go to do that event display option with the banner, and then where you can go and how you can set up your fundraisers so that only certain events require fundraising, but others don't. And then if you do want to just have optional fundraising, all you're going to do is enable individual fundraising. You're going to need to put a default message for individual fundraising pages. And I would recommend including a default individual fundraising goal, but you can just ignore the rest of the page. Those are really the only two things you need to set up. And then you can go into like display settings and customize, badges and rewards and things like that. So there's 3 different types of fundraising goals on our platform. The one is the default individual fundraising goal, and that's the one I'm seeing being used the most with virtual events and virtual challenges. It's a suggested goal, so it's automatically going to have an amount show on that fundraising setup page, whether that's in the reg path or afterwards. And people can make it either lower or higher as they would like. And I think that works well for these virtual challenges where you want people fundraising and you want to give them a bit of a goal guidance, but just make it really flexible. The 2 other options are required fundraising minimums. So there's an option where you can not waive the fee. So everyone still has to pay the full registration fee. And then we have this option that's not used as frequently, but it's where there's a fundraising minimum. People agree to meet that, and the registration fee is waived when they agree to meet it. Okay, charity partners. So charity partners are good for races that support one or multiple charity partners. So as an example, the Philadelphia Marathon partners with American Association for Cancer Research. So the Philadelphia Marathon sets up the race, and all the registration fees go to the Philadelphia Marathon. And all the donations and fundraising data goes to that charity partner, which is ACR. So the charity partners are able to set up their own payment account so that they receive all the donations paid to them directly. And then they also receive a charity partner dashboard where they can view and export all their donation and fundraising data and their financial reports. And that's also where they can customize all their messaging and donation receipts. So charity partners in virtual races. Gordy's Pumpkin Run is a virtual run that's been around for several years. It's previously been known as the Great Pumpkin Run. This year they announced that they were partnering with Girls Run International, or Girls on the Run International, and they've added a fundraising only event. So they did that second setup where some but not all participants are required to fundraise. And I thought that they did a really nice job with this announcement. They did a press release, they added them to the website with like their own event, and they invited Girls on the Run to set up a charity partner. So Girls on the Run is receiving all these donations directly. They're able to add their Facebook fundraising integration, so their fundraisers can connect their Facebook fundraising pages. And so that's a really nice thing. So if you are partnering with a race, I would suggest asking them to add you as a charity partner, because you should be getting those payments directly paid to you, and you should be getting the data of all the donations. So in RunSignup, the way to add charity partners is you go to donations and you can add charity partners. And you can add whatever the charity name is. And as the race, you can fill in this information, or you can just leave it empty and allow the charity to add that information. And then you're going to send that invite to the charity partner to accept this invitation. So just going to add that charity partner. And as the race, you can see whether or not your charity partners have set up their payments just by this little message here. And then that way, anyone who donates to the Nature Fund when they sign up, those donations go directly to the Nature Fund. So this is a view of the charity partner dashboard. So these are the different tabs that your charity partner will get. They'll be able to go in and view their payment reports, donation reports. They'll be able to add any offline donations that will show on their donation goal on the race website. And the nice thing with this charity partner dashboard is it can display more than one event. So if you partner with multiple races that all use RunSignup for registration, you can actually have like your charity partner dashboard display the reporting for all those in one place. Tools to grow donations. So the most important thing is just adding a donation description and making sure that it's really clear where the money is going to go and how the funds are going to be used. We require this as a field that you have to fill in now so that there's content when you're accepting donations on RunSignup. But you just want to make sure that you spend time and make that very clear messaging. The next thing is it's a best practice to add donation levels. You can just add amounts, or you can add little descriptions with the amounts. And you'll see here that these donation levels are 10, 50, 250. We suggest including a range of amounts from small to large amounts. And you can kind of get creative with the different donation level names, tie them to your mission. Third step is you should customize the donation confirmation email. So you can go in, it's linked on your page when you set up donations. And then this is just little like steps that you would take to find it through your race dashboard menu settings. So the things that we recommend including in that confirmation email are a thank you message, your tax deductible information, so your EIN number and your address so people can use that receipt for income tax deductions. And then any sort of text around any donation matching program. So encourage people to ask their employers if they have a gift matching program. Today, RunSignup has an integration with HEP data matching gifts, and we're going to be doing an integration with Double the Donation soon, probably in the next like 2 or 3 weeks. So if you already have an account with one of those matching gift platforms, you can add those keys to enable those integrations. Double the Donation, you'll be able to do that shortly. Step 4 is adding a charity checkbox. So asking people if they want to add a donation to the checkout. I think this works really well. I'll actually just show you how you would set that up here. So you come into your donations tab and you click charity partners, and this is actually tied to like having to have a charity partner set up. If you don't have a charity partner, it's just your nonprofit that's putting on this event, just add a placeholder charity partner, because once you add one, it expands these settings. I'll just show you real quick. Like if you don't have a charity partner, you don't see anything here. So if I just want to be able to save that, I'm just going to add my charity, which is Save the Whales for Save the Whales Run. I'm not even going to add direct payment setup contact. And then I have these settings now. And this is the one that you want to add, and it's show a checkbox on the registration checkout page. Those charity that's going to show, it's the only one, it's Save the Whales. And then this is a customizable amount. So you can make it like $3, $5. I think anything between like 1 and 10 works pretty well. 10 might be a little bit high, it just depends on the type of event you have. But then you can save that, and then when people complete registration and they haven't made a donation, they'll get a little checkbox on the checkout page that says, do you want to add $5 to your registration? Like this. If you do have an event with multiple charities, you can rotate which charity shows, and the reporting will, make sure that those dollars go to the correct charity. The other tool is donation discounts. This is something that Brian mentioned during his Quick Hits program. But what you can do is you can give people a discount on their registration fee if they make a certain donation amount. And so the best way to do this is to advertise it up front. So like that event display option that I showed you where you can add a little banner, I would recommend if you're going to offer a donation discount, customize that banner and say donate $100, get $50 discount. And then if you have this set up on the registration cart on the checkout page, you're actually going to see both the donation amount and the discount for that donation as separate line items. And the benefit, of course, is that people get, tax deductible donation, and you're actually going to raise more money for your nonprofit. Step 6 is donor covered fees. So if you as a nonprofit want to absorb the processing fee but give your donors the option, you can go to financial, pricing, processing fee type, and you're going to set it so that the processing fee comes out of the charge for registration and donation. And then you're going to check this setting to give your registrants the option to pay. And giving your registrants the option to pay will let you put in a custom prompt, so you can add your own language. And that's what's going to show here on the checkout page. Another best practice is to thank your donors, and especially your big donors. So this is something that I think one of the Comans that uses our platform suggested, but it's the donation summary email setup. And so this is set up to send a notification to as many recipients as you want when a donation of a certain amount is made. And so this example is for donations that are over $500. So it's a daily email that's sent, and it's saying that the minimum donation amount to include in this email is $500, and then it's going to go to Bob. And so this is nice if the CEO or executive director of your nonprofit isn't actively involved in a run, but they want to personally call and thank all of the big donors. You can set up a direct notification to go to them. The other advice is to not be afraid to ask for donations. So some of the ways that we recommend on our platform to do that are in the confirmation email. This goes out whenever anyone registers. You can include additional content about where they can donate. We have incomplete registration emails. Those are customizable automated emails that go. So if somebody signs up, starts signing up, but then they leave and drop out, you can encourage them to come back and sign up. And if they can't make the event, you can encourage them to donate. And then you can also do newsletters, of course. I've seen really good emails, actually, again, from Philadelphia Marathon. They send out like profiles on some of their fundraisers. And so it'll be like an individual fundraiser, and it will be a photo of them, and it will kind of tell their story. And the link will actually go to that individual's fundraising page. And then they'll also have like a second call to action, which is sign up and run with, you know, that fundraiser. So I think just sharing newsletters and, you know, stories about your top fundraisers and stories about your beneficiaries and, you know, tying a call to action to that to donate is really powerful. Okay, incentivize and engage your fundraisers. So you should always set a default fundraising message for your individuals, your teams, your charity partners. That's what's going to populate when somebody becomes a fundraiser. So it's going to give them text that they can share. It's a good way to make sure that you're kind of controlling the messaging, but all of your fundraisers can, of course, you know, edit that message, change it to what they want it to be. Team fundraising is a really nice way to motivate people to get their friends to participate and get their friends to raise money. When a team fundraiser is created, the captain gets a notification email, like confirming that they created a team. You can customize that notification with coaching tips. Another idea is just to do team fundraising prizes. So not only offer like prizes for your fastest teams, but the ones who raise the most money. One of the nice tools on RunSignup is you can enable a team roster report for your team captains. So you can choose which data they get to see about their fundraisers. One of the things that I like is you can let team fundraising captains see their team members' shirt sizes. So if they want to get team shirts, it's easier for them to organize that. We have automated fundraiser refunds. It's kind of similar to the referral rewards, but it's based off of raising a certain amount of money instead of, referring a certain number of friends. So to set that up, you'll go to the fundraiser rewards tab, and you will give a refund when a registrant raises a certain amount of money. And this is the amount of money they have to raise. So they have to fundraise $500. When they reach that, they'll be refunded $50. A person will never be refunded more than what they paid for your event. So you don't have to worry about the balance ever going below zero. But if you want to give them a full refund, you would just set this to 0. You can add milestones and badges to award for your fundraisers when they hit certain milestones. So the milestones are based off of dollars raised. You can add one or multiple different levels, and you can upload custom badges. By default, we have little stars that show with the milestones, but this is an example of a race that uploaded these Star Wars themed badges, which will show. And then Canva is, of course, a great platform to design these types of unique badges. And then you should also customize the fundraising confirmation email. So again, you can go into this tab under fundraiser created email, and you can add, your own thank you message for fundraising, tips and tricks, kind of their coaching guidelines. Fundraiser email templates. This is for your fundraisers to send emails from RunSignup. I don't see a ton of nonprofits using this, but it is a tool if this is something that you would like to do. So the first step is that you have to enable the fundraiser email templates, and then you should customize them. So the two ones that we recommend customizing are the donation request template and then the join team request template. So people will be able to easily use those templates to email their friends and family to ask for a certain donation or a certain team. And the reason that's nice is it's your branding, your messaging, your words, and 2, you're just making it easier for your fundraisers to get more donations and ask people to join their team. And this is just an example from the Komen Twin Cities team. And so the language is written from a fundraiser to one of their donors. You can use registration follow-up emails to promote your fundraising. So I know that Brian talked about this during Quick Hits in terms of promoting teams and referral rewards. You're also able to include each person's unique fundraising page URL so that a set number of days after they sign up or on a set date, they'll receive an automated email that has their unique fundraising URL, and you can encourage them to share that with their friends and family to ask for donations. And again, this is a great way to keep in touch, have that extended engagement, continue to provide tips and tricks, and share different success stories of what is working for fundraisers. And this is just an example of how you can kind of design that drip campaign to your fundraisers. So in this example, 2 days after they register for your event, you send them a message, thanks for signing up to support our cause, share your fundraising page with family and friends, and then it has that unique fundraiser link that pulls in their unique fundraiser link that they can easily share. And then 2 weeks later, after that, another message. And so you can kind of schedule these and set them up to just go on a drip campaign. You don't have to do anything to automate this. It just automatically is set and go. Another good tip is to add an FAQ page with fundraising tips to your race website. So in terms of like managing your registration and managing your fundraising page, you can link to the relevant RunSignup FAQ pages and just include quick links to those like I have here. And then you can also include your own tips and tricks by adding these custom sections and going in and editing and adding your own content. Facebook fundraising. So Facebook fundraising, we talk about all the time, but it truly is the best way to get your fundraisers to be successful. So we found earlier this year, I pulled a bunch of data and I found that connected fundraisers compared to unconnected fundraisers raised $490 more and received 9.74 more donations than unconnected fundraisers. And 56% of connected fundraisers reached their own personal fundraising goal compared to just 25.7% of unconnected fundraisers. And the average amount raised on Facebook per fundraiser is $210. So when you offer the option for Facebook fundraising, it's going to really empower your top fundraisers who are already motivated to go out and support your nonprofit. And it's just going to make it easier for them to be successful. And that improves your relationship with your fundraisers because you're successful, they're successful. It just keeps that relationship really good. The other thing that's nice is it saves time. So a lot of people don't necessarily, especially now, don't necessarily want to like go ask their friends and family for money. But with Facebook, it's kind of just automated. Facebook does promote those notifications. You'll see here, this is a screenshot, probably from when we were testing things. But I get notifications that Andrew and my dad are, raising money for Semper Fi Fund. It's just automated when I go into Facebook and I can click there and make a donation. So it's really easy for people to, it's easy for your fundraisers to share with their friends. It's easy for their donors to donate to them, and it's easy for you because you'll save time. And then this is, I think I talked about this yesterday in one of my sessions. Our processing fee for all donations on RunSignup and GiveSignup is 4%. That does include credit card fees. So it's just a flat 4%. When donors are given the option to cover those processing fees, the overall processing fee rate for the nonprofit gets lowered to 1.9%. So that's saying that like more than half of people will opt to cover those processing fees, meaning that the nonprofit has to pay a lower percentage out of each donation to cover that 4%. And then when donation processing fees and donor cover fees are combined, or when donor covered fees and Facebook fundraising is combined, that percentage lowers to just 0.4%. Those aren't exact guaranteed numbers. It's just kind of the trend that we're seeing when, races put on by nonprofits enable these certain tools. So Facebook fundraising is just another great tool for your nonprofit to save money. And now it's an automatic setup, so there's really not any barrier beyond just making sure that your nonprofit is approved for Facebook payments. Reporting, you have a couple of different reports for a donation and fundraising event on RunSignup. The first report is your donations report. You're able to click search at the top of your donation report. It's going to expand and it will let you search by a donor name or a donor amount or a donation date. So it lets you filter through and find a specific donation very quickly. You're able to customize what sort of export you have from that report and generate different types of reports. One of the unique ones is a year-over-year summary. So you can see how much you've raised each year over time. At the bottom of your donation report, there's a link that you can download as a CSV. And in the far right column on the donations report, you're able to edit or refund any donations. You'll see here, this is an updated donation. So when you click to edit a donation, you can actually assign it to a specific fundraiser after the fact. So if somebody makes a donation and they're like, oh, that was supposed to go to so-and-so fundraiser, make it really easy for you to just click, assign that correct fundraiser, and save that, update that donation so it's applied to that specific fundraising page. The fundraiser report also lets you search for a specific fundraiser. You can filter to show only teams or only individuals or for just one specific charity. From the fundraiser report, you can click in and you can view all the donations associated with a fundraiser. You're also able to update their fundraiser page for them. So we make it really easy for your fundraisers to control their own fundraising pages. But you know, there's always going to be some cases where people don't want to do that. And so this just makes it very easy for you to go in and change things on their page for them. And then we also have a fundraiser report generator. So you can pull different types of reports like top teams or a captain report, and you can, you know, include additional data that you want in that report. And we have a whole suite of Facebook fundraiser reports. This is a splash page that just gives you the overview and shows the impact of Facebook fundraising on your overall donations. And then the nice thing about the different Facebook fundraising reports is the donations report gives you the unique Facebook fundraiser ID. So depending on what your nonprofit's processes are, you would be able to take this report and merge it with your Facebook payments report, because donations that happen on Facebook are going to be paid out by Facebook. But you're able to do like pretty accurate reconciliation with this report that's on RunSignup. The fundraiser report with Facebook also gives you links that are really easy to access so that you can view your fundraisers pages on RunSignup and also their pages on Facebook. The other thing that's nice is that all of the fundraising and donor data is available in your participant report. And I think that this is really great for events that have more complex setups. So like we have this one that's a stair climb fundraiser, and they have like, they have competitive teams, fundraising teams, and then they have corrals that go off like throughout the entire day. And so having all that data in one place where they can view like the data for the participant and their corral and their team and their fundraiser and their fundraising team and the amount that they donated and their goal, like everything in just one simple report is really powerful. So you're able to customize that participant report to show the donor and fundraiser data that you want it to show. And again, there's a ton of different export options. You can download as a CSV file. You can export to Google Sheets. You can customize the report to just download certain columns, or you can have it download all the different data columns that you collect. And that is the end of my presentation. So, are there any questions that I can answer?
Yes, we have a few. And I'm going to start from the top and go from there, so they're not really in any specific order. But the first question is, do you recommend charging less for those who fundraise in the initial registration fee?
Not really. I don't see a difference or a need to do that. It's like get your money up front kind of. I would say like really the only reason to give people like different registration fees would be based on swag. So if you want to offer a discount, if they choose like a no swag option, I would say do that. But typically I think, you know, it's the same reg fee, whether or not you want to fundraise.
Great. The second question, which is better from your perspective? Requiring fundraising, but then having some people opt not to do it, or letting people choose whether or not to set it up?
I don't know. I don't know. It really just depends on your event. I can give like a couple examples to show you on different things. So this one for ACS, they required everyone who signed up for the challenge to become a fundraiser, but they didn't require anyone to fundraise. So you obviously are going to have people, like everyone gets their own fundraising page when they sign up. It's like pretty low overhead. But you'll have some people that fundraise a lot, but you're also going to have a lot of people who fundraise nothing. I don't think that really hurts in any way. But if you want to just make it really simple, you can use that setting that I showed on the individual fundraiser setup, where you can hide the fundraising setup so everyone just automatically gets them. Use that registration follow-up email to like let them know they have that fundraising page URL. So that's another compromise where everyone gets one so they can fundraise if they want to, but it's not like pushing it on them.
Okay, the next question. Have you recently seen success with team fundraising for a run that went to a virtual run?
Yeah, I mean, I think team fundraising is always fun. I think with virtual challenges, it can work really well because you can tie the actual teams that are competing with the mileage to that team fundraiser that's raising money. So you can kind of have like these two different team competitions going on at one time. In terms of events that went virtual, I mean, I think you have to readjust your expectations to an extent about how much fundraising you're going to be doing. But I have seen success with team fundraising. I'll be honest and say, I think it's more successful with individual fundraising and offering fundraising incentives for hitting certain, amounts raised. But I think adding the team element is always good for fundraising and for the virtual events.
And then the last question that we have, and people, and you guys feel free to ask more questions in the chat and I will ask them away here or we'll respond. So you can keep them up. The last question that we have is, I have an organization with 3 separate arms and people like to target their donation to their favorite arm. Should I set up each arm as a charity partner?
You could do that and you could have a competition between them. Yeah, on the RunSignup platform, we don't have donation designations. That right now is a GiveSignup feature where you can designate like what part of your charity the donation goes towards. I think it's up to you. I think charity partners, maybe it makes it more complex, but you could try setting it up that way, going through and seeing if it makes sense for you as a registrant. Or you could even add a custom question. So you could ask people like, where would you like your donation to go? And then they can choose that as a custom question. So I think there's a couple of kind of workaround ways that you could handle that. But yeah, it's up to you. So definitely test it out, see if it makes sense to you if you were a registrant, and then go with that. Any other questions?
Whitney, you're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't want you guys to hear me typing. It seems to be the end of the questions. And if there are any other questions, or there are questions that we didn't reach in the chat, we will be reaching out to you after this. So yeah, we can wrap up from here.
All right, well, thanks for coming to this presentation. Again, all these different donation and fundraising tools are available for your virtual race, your virtual challenge, and for your charity bid fundraising, in addition to your in-person run, walk, rides. And there's a lot of flexibility with the platform. So if you are confused about your best setup or what the best way is to optimize your donation and fundraising setup, it's obviously on a very case-by-case basis. You can feel free to look through our different articles and webinars and slides like this. But you can also reach out to info@RunSignup or to your dedicated account manager if you have any specific questions about the best setup for your event. All right, well, thanks guys. See you later.